My brother, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, and they put him on hospice at my other brother's house. And so he had called, this was right at the time you had the barbecue.
Right.
And he was going through, he was having a lot of nausea and vomiting. And he was vomiting up so much that he was going to bile because there was nothing else left in his stomach. And so we really were concerned about him. His blood pressure started dropping excessively low. He was almost bottoming out. I mean, both numbers were almost together. And so I was really worried about him, so I told Crystal, I said I was going to have to go out to spend some time with my brother because, you know, he's on hospice, so we really didn't think he was going to make it, you know.
Yeah.
And so when I found out about the product at your house, that's why I was really listening, basically for him. I'm like, let's see, I really was skeptical, but I said, we'll see if it works. So I researched, and what I read was a lot about how it targets cancer cells. I was like, this could probably work. So I tried it for myself because I have sickle cell, and I started feeling a little bit better, and I had a lot of inflammation. It was starting to come down a little,
Right.
and a lot of my pain was subsiding. I was having as much pain as I normally have. So I said, well, it worked for me, so maybe it'll work for him. So I called him up. Well, prior to that, we went to the meeting with Crystal at the DoubleTree. And what happened was when I walked in there, they were late, and there wasn't that many people there. And I was like, And then there was a lot of traffic. I'm like, where are all these people going? There was a Mary Kay convention going on. Now, I'm a Mary Kay consultant for 7 years. So I'm thinking, I'm sitting here waiting on the Gano meeting to start, and nobody was there. And all these people were at the Mary Kay, and they're all pumped up like Stepford Wives. You know, they all were jumping and screaming. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll go to the Mary Kay convention. They won't know the difference. And so, but then I sat down and the Lord said, I looked over where there were all these people, and that was, the Lord said, now that's the wide road. And then in the other room, there was only a couple people, and that was the narrow gate. So the Lord said to take the narrow gate, because that's biblical. The wide road leads to destruction, but the narrow gate, and that's where I went. So I went and I sat and I listened, and I started hearing more about how it helped with cancer and all these other illnesses. I'm like, well, let me go on and get some of these samples. Krista was like, well, get some samples and let your brother try it, and start him on the tea because he's having the nausea. If you get the nausea subsided, then we can try to get him to get started with the pills. So here's the funny part. He started on the tea, nausea subsided. Then I didn't have the pills yet, so I had to wait on my order, right? So then I called, I put in another order, got the pills, and he started on the pills. Well, just today, my mother, we were planning for a Father's Day. We were going to take them out to Benihana's, both my brothers. So my mother gets on the phone, and when I got here, she called me. She said, well, your brother, she's talking about my brother that's sick, he's not coming to Father's Day because he's going to San Diego with his girlfriend. Here's a man on hospice that just had nausea throwing up bile a week ago, and now he feels good enough to drive to San Diego with his girlfriend. So amazing. That is God. And I skipped the part where I called my brother's girlfriend. I told her, I said, you know, because the night before, the Saturday, they have church on Saturday. The prophet said, there's going to be something that's going to sound really bizarre. It's not going to make any sense to you, that somebody's going to tell you. But listen closely, because it's God. Well, I called her that night when I got back from the meeting, late that night, because we didn't get back until about 11
okay,
something.
I got home at 1 in the morning.
Like at 12 o'clock almost. I said, I got it's a product, and I think it'll help him. And what does he have to lose? He's on hospice. They've given up on him. So, you know, he might as well try this. And she said, well, what is it? Calm down. What are you talking about? I said, well, it's called Ganoderma. And I started telling him what I knew, which wasn't much. I'm like, it's a mushroom. And I didn't want to make him nervous. So I said, well, it's enriched coffee or enriched tea, because I didn't want to say medicine because people don't want to drink coffee that's medicine.
That's right.
So and she said, well, what does it do? And I told her, and she said, oh my God, the prophet just said last night, I'm going to hear something that sounds really strange, but it's God, and to listen to it. And she said, we'll be over tomorrow. And so they came over, they tried it, and his nausea subsided, and they called me back, well, we want the pills right away. My mother started on the oatmeal and the coffee, because she drinks like 8 cups of coffee, 7 or 8 cups of coffee.
And what happened with her blood pressure?
Her blood pressure went from 140 something over 90 something. She called me last night. And
that's
said,
why she's on her medicine is 140, right?
And that's when she's been on her medicine.
Mm-hmm.
She called me actually a couple days after starting it, the oatmeal and the coffee, and said, I couldn't even take my medicine because I was scared that my blood pressure was going to go too low, because it went down to 120 over 70. And so she said, so I didn't take my blood pressure medicine. This is the 3rd day that she hasn't taken her blood pressure medicine. And last night she called me, her blood pressure was 117 over 70 something.
So she's no longer taking it?
She hasn't taken her medication for 3 days.
Wow.
And my mother did not believe that this stuff was going to work. She's like, I don't know. And she's calling me now saying, where's my oatmeal? Where's my... She wants the coffee, so I have it in the car right now. So she calls me. She actually was coming to get it yesterday, but I had to go to the doctor. And so it's working for a lot of people. And my brother's girlfriend had her swelling in her gums. And so she got the toothpaste, and it went away. She has real sensitive teeth.
But I brushed it out for 3 days, and they don't bleed anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, what'd you say?
I used my gums were bleeding, and I used a toothpaste, and after 3 days, my gums were bleeding.
Wow. So
So
amazing.
Amazing.
American.
So what's your name?
Antoinette Williams.
All right. How long you been doing this?
2 weeks now.
Okay.
And
So
what do you do for a living? You're a nurse, right?
Yes, I'm a
All
nurse.
right. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you.